Okay, guys, happy Friday. Here we are, the 21st, 21st of August, coming up on noon here, middle of the day. So, of course, we started Bitcoin. Now, everybody said, as I mentioned in the notes over on the Discord, we are going to try and broaden out the number of coins that we look at rather than a detailed look at 1, 2, or even 3, maybe a more of a top line look. We're going to experiment with it and see how you guys respond to that. But as I've said in the notes, every day we do this. I know somebody's disappointed, if not multiple people are disappointed, because if we're taking the top 2 or 3 and 15 assets or more are requested, how do we what's the right balance there? So we're going to test this out here. I'm going to record it today, but if you guys would prefer that, I think we'll head towards a more of a live stream format where there'll be some interaction. Now we've dabbled with that before, but I'm just trying to look at how to get more coverage. So this will be a test run up today. But Bitcoin here, we're going to isolate. So I've got the daily here, good place to start. Just no Elliott, just what can we see here? Where are we? Well, so swing low to swing high, I've got a regression channel on it, so trend is intact. I've just got swing high to swing low here in our golden zone here that we're well aware of. And all I've done here is I've just taken the volume profile. Now I know some of you don't have this, but this is under volume profile. This is fixed range, so I can draw where I want to see it. So I'm taking the swing down. All right, and I'm looking at all that volume profile, and then I'm doing the same thing on the swing up, right? Just looking for all that volume profile, and I'm looking for those areas of high volume where we could anticipate some potential support. And I've got this little pivot wicked off out here in terms of, well, let's take that off for now. So you can see this. So all I've done is just taken a line here, and I've just put it right on the POC, right? So we know that over that swing, that was where the highest volume was found. And the same thing here. So we get this nice little pocket down here, right? So we're just looking here, potential buy zone. If there's going to be a retracement here, if we're going to start to come down a little bit. Now, of course, the reason to have the trend line here and maintain it, right? You want to have this, as I think I suggested to you guys, because if we're going to come down and perhaps even break that and go a little bit lower, we're thinking about fib context. Now, when we look at the smaller time frame here, let's just assume we get up to that golden zone. Well, if we were to do that, we'll look where this zone lines up here, right at the 38. Again, this is just POC from those 2 swings, where I've just highlighted that. So that's right. Let's call it 9,800. Well, we're probably too far, right? So if we're going to come down, let's assume, just for the sake of the discussion here, that we get one more kick up to the golden zone. We find some resistance here, which we can anticipate, and then we start coming down in a more typical 3. Well, look. 50 comes in rather nicely here at the low edge of the move up here and all of this consolidation, and we see it here, and that could be what we need to set up the bigger launch. Then just kind of thinking, kind of looking at the calendar, I think the real question mark in Bitcoin, I have to edit that out, in Bitcoin is, well, let me back up. So my anticipation, is my opinion, I could be very wrong, but there's certainly, this is a reasonable expectation given the background up here. Now I'm trying not to get political, but my point being that I think it's not unreasonable to anticipate some volatility going into the election and then immediately following the election, because I think we all can, well, here in the States, we can all anticipate that regardless of what happens, there's going to be well, I'm trying to not be political. I think it's very reasonable that one party, particularly one party that might be more prone to this, if it were to lose the election, I think it's going to be contested. Now, a contested election creates massive uncertainty, and I think you could anticipate the market may not like that. So has Bitcoin decoupled enough? Is it, right? So as we go back to the COVID sell-off, right? We were right lockstep with the market, right? And now we've done our own little, we're damn near, right? We've done our own little V recovery in crypto. Now, different scenario. This is, you could make a case that it's just as much Fed-driven as anything else, as they print more money. So therein lies the question, right? So Bitcoin was always designed to be an alternative asset class to government manipulation, Fed manipulation. We can all certainly appreciate that the stock market is doing what it's doing purely because of what the Fed is doing. So you have to look at that and say, well, if Bitcoin is indeed going to be an alternative safe haven, store of value, let's say it that way, store of value proposition, an asset, if there's volatility going into the stock market, well, so far, right, per COVID, right, that theory has proven to be at least not mature just yet. So if there's volatility and uncertainty in the stock market, people start selling off stocks, what does that do to Bitcoin? Well, that may be just the kind of thing that sets up that deeper correction. Right, now, it remains to be seen how deep that goes, right? I'm not making a forecast. I'm just looking at the calendar thinking, all right, going into November, you can anticipate volatility. Of course, market hates uncertainty, right? So with that volatility, does it drag Bitcoin down? And I'm not so sure that that's a bad thing, because if it drags it down, as I was just suggesting, it creates the potential for the retracement that you'd have more confidence buying in. This is hard to buy up here. We're potentially overextended, so that is a huge question mark. So I think you have to be mindful of that over the next couple of months. And then it's not just the election, because if the results are contested, we're going to have all the uncertainty as we go through that. And then if there were to be a change in the outcome in terms of which administration is going to come in, well, you've got 77 days where, again, trying to not to be political here, but there's 77 days between whenever we get the result and the transfer of power, assuming we get a peaceful transfer of power, which, again, just my opinion, I'm not so sure we're going to get, that there's going to be more volatility, right? So a potential mad king who's angry at the peasants, right, could really do some damage to the world. So I think you got to be really cautious here, because that is a massive block of just a whole window of uncertainty that we're going into. So let's call that, question mark. What's coming there? And nobody knows. Well, nobody knows how the market's going to respond to it, but uncertainty generally leads to, let's just say it that way, volatility. All of that said, I think these are areas here. If you're looking to add, if you're at the, what am I in here? I'm a daily here. But if you're out on the longer term time frames and you're not trying to scalp out on the 15-minute chart, which I know many of you are, right? But I can't go that deep here, or down to that small a time frame. If you're just thinking about where the opportunities are, is this a place you want to buy? Yeah, I know, right? So, it's just human nature for us to think, oh, okay, it's going to keep going. It's going to keep going. I know it's, Bitcoin to 100,000, Lambos for all, right? It's just it's just human nature, right? So look, we've gone from 3,000 to 12,000, right? It's just going to keep going, because we all remember this, right? If you were around for that, it's possible, right? So who says we can't do it again? Well, different dynamics here. I am just being cautiously opportunistic here, because I'm not comfortable buying it up here, but I'd be very comfortable buying it down here. Just again, no Elliott, just off of what we're looking at here. Right, I know this is where all the volume is, so I know there's likely to be support. Now, additionally, right, as I try to remind you guys, don't miss the 233. Look at the Vegas wave coming right in here in that pocket, right? So if we start to come down here off of that uncertainty, well, look what's right there. You got the Vegas wave, and you've got that downsloping trend line that is dying to be retested, right? So additionally, you'd have the lower parallel here, or what do I want to say, the channel low of the regression channel. So if you got that, now can it do it, right? We're already kind of past this pivot here, so it couldn't do it there. You can just look at it and say, well, if it's going to come down, we got to allow a little tumble shit with Bitcoin. You never know. We're going to come down here. Well, that would be September 2nd, right? That's a couple of weeks. You could, again, that could be the bounce that leads to heading towards the 50. Of course, we're not to this golden zone yet. So, all right, I feel like I'm over talking this, but my point being here, I would have these alerted here. And again, if you don't have these, what do I got there? I call it 10,195 to 9670. That's your pocket there to be paying attention to for any weakness here. All right, so all that said, no Elliott, just geometry, fib relationships, and some volume profile. Right, so this is the area to be paying attention to. All right, now let's go over to look at the count. Now this is just the kind of count where, as I've said repeatedly, I am absolutely positive 10 Elliotticians will give you 10 different counts here. Right, this is such a cluster F. Right, it's so. I mean, I could put up 3 counts here that would be valid. This is my primary, but there certainly are alternate, what do I want to say, alternate counts. It's a very ugly ride up into this one from an Elliott perspective. So I'm still sticking with the idea that we've gone 1, 2, 1, 2. I guess that's too high a degree. Let's bring that down here. So 1, 2 at the higher degree. I guess I'd take that up. Hang on. My degrees are off. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, where are we here, right? Because I've got a potential impulse here. Well, we got to look at that and say, okay, well, if that's a 1 and that's a 2, well, we're only to the 618. So this is not likely to be the 3 at that degree. So then we got to look at the internal 1, 2. Well, let's do that, right? Same thing. So if we go from this as the proposed 2, right? Very shallow 2, but note where's the Vegas wave? Right there. Right here to here. Now here we got just shy of the 1618. Now as we look at the count here, this is looking, potentially like it's a little top heavy here, and the count has broken down a little bit. If we break this channel and we get below the Vegas wave here, I think there's, at the very least, we're going to test some of this structure here. So again, simple, right? All I've done is just wick off the structure here, the prior pivot highs. Pivot high, here's the 1. Here I've got this one highlighted here because that would be last stand for any idea that we were coming down here to rally back up and have this count keep going. We take that out and everything's changing. So now that of course we had considered this, right, as a possible triangle all through here, and that count is still potentially a valid count, certainly, right? This being A, B, C, D, E, and then up we're going here. So those both are valid here. We can't really confirm anything until we see, are we coming down here, right? Or are we just going to carry on here? And this is just a little pause, and we've got some sort of diagonal here. I think that looks suspect here because from this pivot here of this 2, I can complete an impulse here. Now let's go down to the 1 hour here because you guys all saw this. I'm going to take that off for a second. Right, so again, this should be, whether it's a member or if you're watching on YouTube, I think this will end up on YouTube. All right, so if I get this from right on that pivot low, okay, so again, golden zone to first target. Right, so 5,020 times I've shown that. But additionally, right, so members, you all caught this, right? I know you did, right? We had a golden corner in here. Get that right here because I posted it in the room, right? So we get our perfect golden corner, right? So I would tell you that's my favorite trade, number 1 setup. It's got the highest probability of success. It's the single best trade, technical trade in the markets available to any of you. Anytime you see it set up, that is the highest probability trade, and there it is yet again. I know I've shown it over 5,000 times. There it is. There's your golden corner pocket going right to target, tags the median line in the target. Look at the reaction. How do we know it's an algorithm? Look at the reaction. So that trade hitting now, it makes you pause here because we had considered, well, there's a 5 here. All right, now I've relabeled it because this 5, if this was going to be 1, 2, well, we were looking for way more than that. So the alternate is that we've gone 1, 2, 1, 2, but note here, now we've broken. So from this pivot to this pivot, we've got, it's small, right? Tiny little break, right? Is it enough? Well, it's going to get tested. Well, it's being tested again, right? It's about to get tested again. The idea, or so from an Elliott perspective, could it be? Yeah, it could be 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm a little suspect of that. Here, let's get this, clear this up. So you understand that 80% is now spent. Now, do you have another one? Well, you do, but you don't. You're losing the golden side, right? Because you've broken. So you would have a corner pocket here. I've got let's get this back to original recipe, right? So we've got that. It's potentially there, right? It's same as the last one. You've lost the golden zone, right? So you don't have an algo at your back. And that's the trade-off. Now you could say, well, shit, maybe they've recalibrated. We're seeing them break. See it in the future. Damn it. See it break in the futures market consistently, right? So I think now the cat's out of the bag here. You're seeing some algos are recalibrating this a touch, right? So maybe they've gone to the 66 or the 68, or they're using the 707. But this is an important test here as to whether or not this is going to hold. If that breaks, then I think, well, if that breaks, I think we confirm the idea that perhaps we've got an expanded flat here. I've got an expanded B wave. You can dig it. You can, now see, it's a bit tricky here. You can dig 5 out of that. Can you do it? It looks like you could go with the length, the extension would be in the 1. So it looks like you could also get 5 in here, right? So you could do this as 1 A B. Shit, you could do it like that. So you could do an ABC here. You could do it as it could be a B wave here. So we'll wait and see. But that looks more like, let's zoom in there. It looks more like you can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Did we overlap? Well, it wouldn't matter, right? You could have a diagonal right there, if I can get it on there. Didn't overlap. So we could go 1, 2. Well, let's just double check it here, right? So 3 can't be the shortest. So yeah, we're good. So you can get a 5 into that. So thus, if this is a 5, this is, I think, can play pretty solidly as a 3 into the B, and then we finish with a 5. Makes me think we've got an ABC here, because we certainly don't have a 1, 2, 3. So the alternate would be 1, 2, 1, 2, but as we sit here struggling, to hold this level, we know that's golden zone right there. If this breaks, then I think let me put the count back together here. We can see it. Then if this is 1, 2, and this is 1, what is this, right? So it can't be 5, right? So if it's 1, 2, if that's 3 or 1, right? So, I mean, we're kind of running out of options here. So I'm going to take that off just for the time being. You can see here how it's struggling there. So note, this structure here, they're testing it, right? But that looks to me like a break is imminent, right? So it's already broken once. And now if I get right on it, it's already broken. That's gonna be. You can see what they're doing, right? So that you can see them defending it there. They're trying to hold it. It looks like to me like that's just on the verge of breaking, but I have seen them tap that 65 multiple times and then dig it out, right? I mean, they're not breaking it. Well, shit, maybe they'll break it here right while I'm doing this. So then you got to think about it and say, okay, where am I then? Where am I in the count? Right? And well, first question always is it helping me? So if I've gone 1, 2, 1, 2, possibly the 3 is in, but the 3 would be in here. So then you'd have A, B, you're looking for the C to come down lower. Now that's not going to be that. That's going to be this 4. Potentially now teeing you up, because we're trying to complete this. All right, so we're trying to get this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what we're after, but that's what this count is after. Now if we're back here, revisiting this as a 4, well, you could make a case here that we could be, if this is a 4 and this is the E and now we're heading up and that's potentially the 5, well, I mean, I suppose you could, well, it wouldn't make sense though, quite, right? So if this was the A, this is the B, we're going to have a C. Is that big? Well, shit, right? Again, anything can happen. But I think this is where you want to be looking here for the next buy side here. We've got all of this structure here. Now, we're above what we were looking at over here. So I've got the invalidation point at 10.1. Right, so here we're at 10.166, right? So here it's this POC from the ride down is sitting right there where I'm just teeing that up here as, this would be invalidation point. So if this is going to come down, if we're going to come down here and the C is going to finish, well, that right there sure does set up nicely to go up and complete the potential 3rd here, which would give, well, pardon me, it would give me the 5th of this 3. All right, so let's just tee that up just in terms of potential fib relationships. So if that's right, now note, I'm not pulling from the high because I'm considering this the 3. So right here between the 30 and the 58, if this is A, B, and I'm coming down here, well, look where my 4 would be, right in the sweet spot. Right right? And it may not, right? We may not make this structure, right? 38 may hold it. So if we come down here and you're between the 50 and the 38, I think you got to look long and hard as a possible entry here, looking for that move, right? So for bulls, I think that's a reasonable place to be a buyer, because you can be absolutely crystal clear as, well, shit, here, look at it here. You can put it under the 65. So your stop, oh, come here. The stop would be, God, trading view, never one click. 98.54, 98.50. Yeah, you might even use a little structure here. All right, there's that little pivot there. So something like that, 97.72. You're giving it plenty of room. You know, I don't know that I would be heavily levered here, because it's vulnerable. Well, think of it this way: if this is 4 going into 5, right, and we're back here and we've got the 1, this ends up being the 3, this is the 4, and that's the 5, and we're doing an A, B, C. Or shit, we could be just starting. This could be the 1, 2, 3, 4. It's possible this could go much deeper. So I wouldn't be just buying it and saying, well, shit, we'll just hold on and wait for the inevitable rip. Right, you don't want to take that much drawdown. So this area here looks very appealing to me, because I think this looks very vulnerable to coming down to the 38, which would be okay, right? So if it comes down here, right, now we know where we are. We go up and we get that 5. I know where I am in the count. I've got my 5, I got my 3. Now I'm looking for the next 4 before I go up for that 5. Now if I'm going that high, what am I doing? Well, that sorry guys. If that goes up to 15.3, where's our golden zone up here? 13.8. So think about it, right? So if we come down and we go up again, 15.3, we're well through the golden zone. We're in the clear, right? No resistance. Now, let's be clear, you understand. No resistance until you get a pivot, right? And then the next time up, now I got another algo involved, right? But in terms of the major daily resistance algo, right? If we get on the other side of that, it's blue sky. So just thinking that through in terms of how we might get there and all of the variables that are coming at us over the next couple of months, I would not be sad. I know, fuck, right? People are pissed. If we got down here, that's I don't want to be hyperbolic, but let's just say that would be a rather substantial opportunity if you're a Bitcoin bull. If we got that, right? And I know you're like, oh, fuck, Bitcoin's falling down. Oh, shit, the whole crypto space is falling. You almost need that retracement, right? You want to, it's like drawing the bow, right? You want to pull it back, freak people out, and then, it's my thoughts. All right, guys, I don't know if I can add much more here. I do think for the shorter term trader here, I like the idea of this pushing into the 5, right? So you got that piece. You want to stay out big picture. I just kind of watch this. So you're so sorry, excuse me. You're risking missing the last move up here into the golden shit, right? It could go right through it, but you're saying I'm going to forego that push up here because this count is a little squirrely, it's a little unclear. If I get up there and then if I complete something and start down again, then I love it here. Right? That's your reload zone on the larger time frame, right? And you can again understand why. Then we're off. Okay, guys, there you go. That's about it. Now I'm going to wrap there because I've got there's a lot of stuff on that list here. So I think I'll try and get through 10 of them, and I'm going to make a little note as to when I switch from one coin to the next, so that you don't have to sit through all of them to get to the one you're interested in. Okay, guys, there you go. Be back to you shortly.